Hey out there. On this episode of the Military Mindset for Business podcast, I'm talking with Shannon Lemanski from Aqua Ubique. Now, what if water insecurity didn't exist? What if there was fresh water for everybody out there who needed it and they could get it when they wanted it? Well, Shannon's got a business where he actually makes water out of fresh air. So, you can say goodbye to those heavy, clumsy, big water coolers in the office because he has a device that actually can replace those as well as save your business heaps of money. So what we're going to do is have a chat to Shannon about his journey out of the military into entrepreneurship and how he makes water out of fresh air. Stay tuned. Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Military Mindset for Business podcast. This is the podcast for the veteran business community. And today I'm chatting with Shannon Lemanski from Aqua Ubique. G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm awesome, mate. Long time listener, first time caller. Good to actually get in the room.
Mate, you're the first one that's actually used that line. So I feel like, a D-grade celebrity with my D-grade podcast, mate. Hey,
Yeah.
quickly, I think a lot of us my little pun for today, if I was going to get a bit punny about it, was, in the military, we pulled off a lot of magic, like there was some last minute, no cuff, two toughs, some miraculous things that, how did we pluck that out of the air? But the magical pun for today is that you've actually plucked fresh water out of the air. And that's the essence of Aqua Ubique. That's what we're going to chat about a little bit later. Mate, first of all, I'd just love to start. Whereabouts did you grow up? What was life like as a kid? Where were you?
Yeah, cool. South side Melbourne, so Melbourne southeastern suburbs is where I grew up.
Yeah.
The
Throw,
two
throw us a
houses.
shout out
So
for
Glen
Southeast
Waverley,
Melbourne. Yeah,
Glen
Glen
Waverley.
Waverley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for anyone that knows the fire station on the corner of Highbury Road and on Highbury Road and Springvale Road. Mum and dad's joints down the back there. So two houses growing up, like literally we moved halfway through year 9 to a bigger joint around the corner, back onto the bike track. So I had like access to all the bike tracks through southeast Melbourne, all when I was a kid. Primary school, high school. And then finished high school and joined the army.
Mate, how
So
crazy it is
12
having
months off and joined the army. Yeah.
Mate, how crazy is it having one house growing up? Like I lived in the same house from like 6 months, and my parents still had that house when I was 23. Like my poor kids, man. Like my 9-year-old is 9, and he's lived in 6 different houses already. Like
Yeah.
it's just mate, different world.
So
What made you want to join the army in the first place?
So similar to your story, I wanted to join the Air Force because you get more chicks, right? Nah. So my grandfather flew DC-3s for the Yanks during World War Two.
Brilliant.
Everyone on dad's side of the family, or so dad's one of 7. Everyone on his side of the family, with the exception of him, has a pilot's license. So like
Right.
pilot and flying is very much in the blood. A trip over to the States when I was a kid and actually got to fly one of my uncle's planes and stuff. So that was like, yeah, that's awesome. Let's get paid to do that. So I always wanted to be in the Air Force and fly fighter jets because I'd seen there was a TV show. It wasn't Top Gun, but it was like some SBS doco on what the boys do with the Hornets. And I'm like, yep, that's sick. Let's do that. Walked into recruiting and they're like, yeah, your eyesight's not good enough. And I'm like,
It's like, yeah, but nah.
yeah,
Nah.
correct. So typical me. So other than the fact that it took 12 months to get through recruiting because recruiting's fantastic. But anyway, so yeah, get to the end of 12 months. Oh yeah, your eyesight's not good enough. And I'm like, well, screw you. If I can't fly the jets, I'll jump out of the back of them, right? So switch from blue to green and off I went.
There we go. Much of a military family history?
So grandfather was Air Force. Couple of my uncles have done a little bit of stuff over in the States, but no,
Yeah.
nothing appreciable.
Yeah. So what's growing up in Melbourne, what's the military like as a career path with your peers or mates? Did anyone else join up, or is it much to chat about?
So there's been a couple now from my high school group that have, but no, it
Yep.
wasn't really something that was particularly up this way. Now that I live in Queensland and I spend a bunch of time in towns, or very much like your garrison kind of towns and
Yeah.
Anzac Day, and there's memorials everywhere. And when you have a look, I had some mates that their families had property up through the Victorian hinterland, so we'd go up there for holidays and stuff, and you'd see the memorials like in like your center of town in the smaller towns and stuff like that. So it was there, and now looking around with a different perspective, you can definitely see it. Anzac Day is obviously big with the shrine, and then they do the march around there. But with the exception of that, no, it's nothing, particularly not coming from a family that's got a big military background, particularly not a big Australian military background.
Yeah.
With the exception of Anzac Day, no, it wasn't really appreciable.
So cutting your own path, what career did you choose or get allocated to in the military?
No, so dad's an engineer as well. So
Yeah.
therefore, as all boys do, they grow up and they follow and they do the same thing. They do the same or the opposite of what their father did. So I was like, okay, well, I'll join the army and I'll be an engineer. So went to the Australian Defence Force. No, I'm on a military podcast. I went to ADFA and did mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
And by the end of that, I was like, okay, well, if I've done 4 years or I've just spent 4 years doing my degree, then let's actually go use my degree. So the graduating class, or with Ramey as well, it's either top choice or you get stabbed. So like it was top choice for me. Allocated straight off, and because of where I ranked on the merit list, got to pick my unit as well. So graduated the college and then marched out and went straight to 3CR.
Brilliant, mate. Because I would have thought that if you'd done mech eng, they would have probably tried to keep you within Ade Bade, but they actually let you go across to being a combat engineer.
No. So Ramey. So
right. Got sorry, my mistake.
Got best of both worlds. So I got to go run the workshops at 3CR.
Brilliant,
so I got
mate.
to
Gotcha.
do all the maintenance stuff and blow shit up as well. So
yeah, like as a fellow, I had the same experience, but as a Ramey guy, but managed to get to an infantry battalion. So for me, just a great experience being in those frontline units. Really supporting the warfighters to do what they do. Mate, just tell us so Townsville, you're up in Townsville now?
No, so I'm living on the sunny coast now. But yeah, so when I marched out of the college into 3CR.
Yep.
So 2 years there. As part of that, spent a bit of time over in Papua New Guinea, so exercise cookbook. So went over there as the Squadron S4, so doing the logistics for all like the 100 or so of the boys and girls that we had over there, and that's actually where, or that was the start of where Aqua Ubique came from. We can cover that later on. But yeah, so did some time on Puk, came back, and then from there, down to Kapuka for 12 months, trained recruits, back up to Townsville. At that stage, my then girlfriend, now wife, so up there, moved in with her. 12 months at 10 FSB, asked to move from running the workshops into Reggie headquarters. Got told, no, that position's not available, but how do you like the concept of S4 at 2RL? And I'm like, infantry battalion, I don't get paid more? Sure, I will get out of third line logistics and go back to the warfighter. That'll be sick. So yeah, went to 2RL for 2 years. That was awesome, and was there as part of COVID assist, but it wasn't the version where you stand on hospitals or do border close down. It's where you get 100 and so dudes and 100-bed hospital, and then you like decontaminate the whole thing and get it embarked onto one of the big LHDs, and then sit that off the coast for a couple of months. So that was, well, COVID was shit for everyone, but that was an exciting bit of COVID, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then last posting was Brisbane for 18 months as the chief engineer for the 7th Brigade.
Love it. And that's where, you transition out and decide to stick around Southeast Queensland.
Correct. Yeah. The wife's she grew up out the back of Brizzy. Every school holiday, she'd holiday with her grandparents at the Mooloolaba Caravan Park. So marching, when I marched in the 7th Brigade there, particularly the regimental or the headquarters PT program was pretty average. Yeah. So asked if I could do like any excuse to not do that. So I decided I'd pick triathlon because I clearly had more time than sense.
Yeah.
Started training triathlon, which was just an excellent excuse to not show up to work until 10 o'clock, provided I showed up in PT gear. And one of the last triathlons that I did was the Mooloolaba one. So I'm standing on Alex Headlands, having done the triathlon, looking out over the headlands. The missus is holiday just up the road when she was a kid. By this stage, we've got a 6-month-old. I'm just looking out over that and being like, Army can't give me this.
This is home now. This is where we want to be.
100%. And only a couple months prior to that as well, I'd had at that stage. So I was in the process. So this is I'm captain 5 by this. No, I'm captain 4 going captain 5.
Yeah.
And Dockham have said, yeah, we'll make you up 12 months. Like, you're performing really well. We'll make you up 12 months early. We'll give you sub-unit command, like all the drink the Kool-Aid, all the
All the
carrots.
trinkets. Yeah.
Yeah. But you need to do both of your majors courses and some field X and go sit on some very important hill next year. So you're going to be away so I'd been blacking out the 16 weeks that I was going to be away the next year. And for all the guys that have deployed, I know that 16 weeks is nothing. But like, at least when you're deployed, it's purposeful stuff most of the time, not courses and other crap. So I'm blacking out these 16 weeks on the next year, being like, yeah, this is fine, this is normal. And I have at that point a 6-month-old crawl up to me.
Mm.
And I've been talking to some of my mates down the mess. Would have only been a couple of weeks earlier because they've gone away and they've done their majors courses and whatever else, because we're all about that kind of cohort. And they're like, yeah, man, when I left on course, my kid was like crawling around or just starting to walk. And then by the time you get home from like 6 weeks away on course, your kid's running around and telling you off. So with that ringing in my ears and seeing a 6-month-old crawl up to me and blocking out all this time on the calendar that was going to be for snot.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not missing first steps and first words. The army will always be there if I want to go back. And she's only going to walk and talk once. So that plus looking over the headlines, I'm like, no, I'm done.
Yeah. I'll always say the army's the best job that I've ever had in my life. You know, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Well, not every minute of it, most minutes of it.
Yeah. Rosy glasses.
But, you know, like it's for those people that kick on and have long time careers in there, hats off to them for just the dedication, the commitment to sacrifice like that. So, mate, what year was this?
That was, so Anzac Day 2022 was my last.
Okay. Yeah. So not that long ago, really, and I just want to get through to the evolution of Aqua Ubique now. When did you start getting the entrepreneurial itch? Were you an ideas guy? Did you always have a penchant for business, or where were you at this point of transition in terms of what you wanted to go to next?
Business, no. Thinking outside the box / tearing the box up and eating it. Yep. So I always had that trait. When I was still in, and even like at the 2nd Battalion, because they do long range reconnaissance and everything outside, or they get as close to the special world as they can without being special. Different, not special, they keep telling everyone. So like really loved that kind of unconventional thinking, which you need to be an entrepreneur. And then getting out, I wanted to do something defense industry, make something and do capability. So sure, I'm out because I'm not wearing the uniform, although I still do reserves. But it's very much a case of that, like frontline FS fighting force, that is one part of capability. There's all the other stuff that comes behind that. So the industrial base and the innovation and the products and all of that. So that's where I saw myself going next. So be it a drone or a weapon system or ammo or fuel or something that generates that capability. So moving into industry, I'm like, okay, I want to do that. I don't know what the thing is yet, but I know it's something to do with business, achieving that kind of effect. So went and did consulting for 12 months, led a bunch of lessons, and then came across the technology that I now work with towards the back end of that contract. And then, the opportunity. Oh, no, at that point, I was naive enough to think that a product makes a company straight away. And I knew nothing about sales or marketing or anything else that goes into business at this point. But I went, no, I can sell to Army straight away and I'll be printing millions of dollars within 6 months. That's how a startup works, right?
Sounds easy, mate.
Yeah, I say it with heavy sarcasm. So that is not how it panned out, but that's what I thought at the time. So went down the startup route and here we are.
So when you're did you have a job when you got out or a place to go, or was it just a bit of a, jump in the deep end?
So I made the decision that I was going to get out Christmas 21 into 22. And then drew down from there. So put my discharge in January when I got back. Last day was April. So I'd had a bit of time and I'd already started job hunting like over that Christmas period, like back end of November, December into Christmas. I'd had a couple offers. So I pretty much walked out of uniform into a pretty good consulting job or into a consulting firm. And then it took them a couple months to get me a placement. That placement was then within the drone project office. So I went back to doing a job that I could have done in uniform. It's just I'm
Yeah.
now wearing a polo and getting paid significantly more and punching a time card and getting to go home
Coming
because,
home to the little one every night.
yeah, correct. Exactly.
Mate, I just want to have a little talk about your thoughts on reserve work and the ability for reserve work to provide you a sense of not only continuing service but security when it came to starting your business. Was it an actual definitive objective of yours to have that second income to help you take the risks to start the business?
So I always did reserves even when I was still consulting. So I did about 40 days that year, and that was more a way to keep dough house for the house.
Yep.
Um, then when I was transitioning across to startup, it completely de-risked it because I
Mm.
had to look at it, had to look at the number of days that I could get through reserves and went, okay, the worst thing that happens is I do 200 days reserves and then I go get a real job.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like this moment for a second because one of the things I really push, when I'm trying to represent veteran enterprise and veteran entrepreneurship is the importance of, the if continuing capability back to ADF and the way that self-employment can use reserve time to really de-risk setting up your business. So number one, you're getting an income from something you know how to do really well in an environment that is very familiar to you, and it's tax-free and all the other parts about it. But one of the things I'd really love, anyone who's thinking of getting out and starting a business, think about using that reserve time or that ability to continue to serve to be able to give you some not only flexibility but a regular income. Yes, you're going to have to work hard when you're going to start your own business, and it's going to take a lot of time. But being able to keep food on the table and the rent paid in a comfortable environment, I think, is really important.
I'm saying, like you please show me any other job that you can get anywhere in the country where the hours are pretty much completely flexible. You
Yeah,
can call your boss the day of and go, hey, I'm not coming in, and you don't get fired.
yeah,
You don't have to worry about, well, obviously, if you're a reservist, you don't get sick leave. So if you're sick and you don't show up, you don't get paid. But you don't have to worry about leave. You don't have to worry about whatever that job, that business is going into receivership because Army will always be there. Like it is absolute job security. It is absolute flexibility.
yeah,
And provided you're upfront with your boss when you march in, Army is screaming for people. So I don't care
yeah,
what position you've done or what rank you've got, you can easily get back in and you can do stuff where just have that honest conversation with your boss when you get there. And if your boss doesn't like the T's and C's, just go, that's fine. Jump on Forcenet and find someone else that works within your service, whatever your
mm,
restrictions, however you see this effectively paying your part of the payroll until your business gets up.
yeah,
Army and ADF can definitely use you, and you can definitely use them to keep food on the table and keep a roof over your family's head until you
yeah.
get your business up.
I really make it work for you. I was actually very lucky to almost do the opposite side, and I was able to do flexible workplace arrangement and part-time leave without pay as I transitioned out of the regular army. But
Mhm.
then, because I had a med discharge, I wasn't able to continue serving in the reserves.
Sure.
Which was not only a bit disappointing personally, because particularly when I remember the fires were happening, maybe 23 or whatever, and just seeing everybody out there pitching in, and I was like, I actually rang up someone, I don't know, it was an old career manager or something, and I was like, oh, how do I get back and help? And they're like, oh, you got to go back to recruiting. And I was like, oh, after 12 years of being in, I don't think I'm going to go back to
Yeah, no,
recruiting. So a
yeah.
bit too hard. So, but I just want to sort of share that whilst you're in, if you're looking to go into a business, you know, being able to continue to serve and be a part of that connection and in family of being in the military is a big thing. And I've got a mate who runs a very, very successful business who's now I think he got, I know, probably major or something in the regulars, and now he's commanding a reserve battalion. So, but he's still continuing that career whilst running a business. So mate, where did the I can't say seed sprout, where did the first drop drip when it came to Aqua Ubique?
Come from. So two instances. So the first one where I thought it came from initially, and we can get into finding your why. So when I was at the 2nd Battalion, the hardest thing for me to move around the battle space was water. So when you've got long-range reconnaissance working off big ships, the guys are 72 hours in front of the front. If you leave a soldier on the beach for 3 days, or so if the boys are doing their job properly, they're recon, so they're not shooting, so it doesn't matter how much ammo they've got. They've got solar to recharge their batteries. You can leave a soldier on the beach without food for 3 days, and he will be pissed off when he gets back to the ship, but he'll get over it. You leave him on the beach without water for 3 days, and he's dead. So, and the hardest thing for me to move around was water. So as soon as the weather's as average as it is down your way at the moment, Pete, I can't get a small boat out the back of a big ship. I can't get a helicopter off the deck. So how do I get water to the boys? You can't. So, and it was very much that link of ship to shore that was the problem. So when I came across atmospheric water generation, which is water from air technology that I now work with, I'm like, if I put that at the back of beach, we've already got more power than we know what to do with deployed at the back of beach anyway. So I can now turn diesel and air into water. And I don't have to treat it, and I don't have to deal with the ROPU, and I don't have to deal with the membranes and the chemicals and all that other stuff that goes with Defence's current solution. I can literally generate the water exactly where I need it and push it forward.
Yep.
That was where it started. So I took that concept to Defence through the Defence Innovation Hub. Got told that Army already, and for anyone listening, I'm doing quotation marks, Army already has that technology. No, they don't, but sure. And that I wasn't innovative. Okay, sure. So I pivoted away from that and went, why if I thought this was going to print millions of dollars and I wanted to be defense industry and an Army currently is not interested, why am I still so passionate about this? And working with a mentor, we dug down and dug down. He's like, yeah, but why are you even still doing this? So 2016, I'm in P&G as part of Puk supporting 100 diggers over there. So
hang on, just Puk. What is exercise Puk about? Is it an engineering or an infantry?
So it's an engineering job. So it's the international development job. So 3rd Brigade's allocated Papua New Guinea. So Puk, I think it's crocodile in Tokpistan off the top of my head. Every year, elements of 3rd Brigade, specifically 3CR and some of the infantry guys as well, go over. The engineers rebuild schools, barracks, roads, healthcare clinics, and all the infantry guys do mentoring stuff and skills development with some of their infantry. So this particular rotation was very much an engineer heavy one. We can't drink the tap water over there because it's not certified. So it means that we need to drink bottled water. 100 soldiers generate a hell of a lot of plastic.
Man, pallets and pallets and pallets.
Yeah, pallets, mate.
Pallets, yeah.
There's no garbage service either, so on the Garbo. So I've now got crushed plastic bottles down at the tip, and I'm shoveling them off the back of the truck. Now, I use the term tip reasonably loosely. Yeah. Realistically, I'm talking probably an area the size of the MCG that's got 2-story high piles of burning garbage. And I need to take 2 MOGs down there with me. And everyone knows the ground clearance and the capabilities of MOGs to get in and out of places. I've got to take 2 trucks with me because I need to use one as the anchor to pull the other one out when it gets bogged. That's just how shit the area is. So I jumped down out of the trucks. I'm now ankle deep in mud. Me and the boys were shoveling all these plastic bottles off the back of the truck, and the locals come up to us. Hey, boss, can you not crush these? Yeah, sure, not a problem. What do you need them for? Like, they're rubbish for us. I'm not fussed. If we get them uncrushed, we can harness more rainwater for our kids, and we don't have to give them dirty creek water.
So simple. Just drinking water bottles, just recycling.
Great. So go back and you'll appreciate this. So the 2nd year subby, who's the new guy to the squadron. Hey guys, I know I've been telling you for the last 3 weeks to crush the bottles. I know you paid me off for 3 weeks. I know I finally got you to do it. Now please ignore everything that I've said for the last 3 weeks and give me the bottles uncrushed.
Yeah.
So everyone thinks this is very funny because the subby was wrong. Anyway, fast forward 2 weeks. So like I mentioned, this job happens every 12 months. You grab the last 2 pallets of drinking water and you throw them in the shipping container at the end of the job. And that way you've got something to get started the next year.
Yeah.
The 2 pallets from the year prior we haven't needed, but these have now expired. Still don't completely understand how water in a plastic bottle in a shipping container can expire in 12 months, but sure. Anyway, we're now throwing out bottles of unopened, still shrink wrapped water at the tip. The locals won't touch it. They're like, no, if these guys in uniform on army trucks are throwing this stuff out, there must be something wrong with it.
What's wrong with it? Yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? It's just, this is just, apart from waste of resources, just a crazy logic.
Yeah. So a bit of a language barrier, crack one of the bottles, neck it in front of them. Guys, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just number says no. So then all this water just magically disappears.
Yeah.
Get back to Townsville, and I'm talking to some of the senior soldiers, and they're like, oh yeah, when we were in East Timor for Interfet, the same thing happened. So we were on the border at Batagade. Some of the pallets of water would come through. A signal would come through from the UN a couple of days later. Oh no, that pallet's expired. You have to get rid of it. So the story goes that the officers in the area were asked, hey, can we put these pallets out the back so they can grow legs and run away? Because the locals in this area, again, don't have
fresh water.
Fresh water. No, that's too high risk. We've got to destroy them. So with a locally employed workforce in the barracks, they had to slash the bottles and then burn the plastic because they didn't have a rubbish service.
Yes.
Hearts and minds killing it.
Yeah.
So then when I found this technology on a Mark Boris podcast of all things, I went, okay, I know that technology can. So the recovering mechanical engineer dived into it to find out why it's been around for 18 years and why it hasn't taken off, because it must be a technological problem, right? Well, no, like there is technological limitations in it, but the current technology in its present form solves issues, real, like life-changing issues in Timor, in PNG, in Indo, in Thailand, in the Philippines. I'm like, but just before I start dealing with this in the new region, let's just double check that we've got no issues in Australia, because we're a first world country, population of 27 million people. Everyone can turn on the tap and safely drink the water that comes out, right?
Yeah, right.
Wrong. How many Australians today do you reckon don't have access to safe drinking water?
Mate, I don't know, but I'm sure, out the back of Bundi somewhere, that like water, must be a challenge just like everywhere. And I do remember as a kid being out at, places like Lightning Original and having the great artesian bore water, is it, or the bore water, and just the smell and the taste of it. I'm sure, I'm not trying to rag on people who drink that every day, but hit me up. It's probably going to surprise me.
Yeah. So, and when people generally I hear is like, oh yeah, because chlorine and
fluoride and all that.
Right. Yeah, I'm not talking that. I'm talking water that doesn't meet the Australian drinking water guidelines. So this is water that you boil before you give to a dog. Over 2 million.
Yeah, right. 2 million people.
Yeah. Almost 8% of our population, when they turn on the tap, if there's a tap to turn on, and if water comes out of that tap, and those are two massive assumptions, it's so salty that I may as well go stick my head in at Mooloolaba, which is just up the road from where I am at the moment, because if I drank seawater, it's got less salt in it. It could have E. coli, uranium, arsenic. It's like so brown that it's just feral, particularly down towards Walgett at one point. It smelled like rotten eggs. And these are not, you said Bundi, so Yass, so that is literally like 20 minutes out of the capital of Canberra. Yeah, Yass is completely stuffed. And the closest community to where I am is Cherbourg. So there's a First Nations community that's just over 3 hours out of Brisbane.
Yeah.
They've been under a boil water alert for over 9 months.
Yeah. I know Cherbourg, just south of Gayndah, up that kind of way.
Just busking around.
But these are decent sized towns. This is not just out the back of the Bundis in, the stereotype in me says desert kind of areas, which is, 80% of Australia. This is, some towns. And the other thing too here is, I travel overseas a lot, and I'm almost fastidious bottled water drinker. So even though we are very oblivious almost to the, like, not 80 or 80% of the population in Australia would be oblivious to the risk of drinking out of tap water. It's just something we take for granted. So right, classic entrepreneurial thing, problem, fix it.
Correct. So yeah, the problem is over 2 million Australians don't have access to drinking water. That problem though has existed for ages. Nobody knows about it. So if if that, and you look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 6 is clean water for all. Those have been around since the early 2000s. So this is a problem that we've had for years. It's not going away anytime soon. And the technology that I'm currently playing with is like 18 years old. I guess 10, yeah, 18, doesn't matter. It's been around for ages. So this is not brand new tech. So if the problem's been around for so long and the tech's been around for so long, how is the problem not solved? How does the tech not solve the problem? It's because it's not a tech problem. The problem is the people that need the tech can't afford it, and the people that can afford it don't necessarily need it. So it's a social problem. So how do you actually, without being, charities do, I don't want to take like saying charities do a bunch of really awesome work. They're also always after handouts and donations and whatever, and particularly in a cost of living crisis, really bad time to be running a charity. It's not a sustainable model. So how do I get people to actively stick their hand in their pocket, and how do I set it up such that there's a real commercial need and the product's positioned as a painkiller to an avatar, and that way that gives me the funding that I need to then install machines where they need to go. So the model that we've set up is, if you're a small business owner with an office water cooler, we'll lease you one of these machines. So it's the same as if you were getting the never fail bottles delivered. So it's exactly that same kind of function. We're replacing your office water cooler. We can save you up to $2,500 a year. The water is healthier because there's no microplastics and more minerals. It's cleaner because there's no plastic bottles and no transport emissions. And the kicker, for every 5 machines we have on lease, we can then install and support one in a community where it needs to go.
So let's just get the product right in our heads here. In most, if not many, office buildings around the place, you'll walk in and you'll see like a cistern kind of thing with about a foot high water bottle hanging off the top of it, and that's where people are filling up their cups or bottles out of. So you're talking about replacing the good old fashioned, what is it, 8 liters or 10-liter bottle or something? 15-liter bottles with your device. Now, no plugs to the wall, no plumbing, or sorry, plug electricity, but no plumbing to the wall, no attached to the mains.
Correct.
Literally water out of the air.
Correct. So in any office, even an air-conditioned office, there's enough water in there. So an air-conditioned office, 24 degrees, 40% humidity. So that's standard office conditions. Yeah. Machine will generate 10 liters per day consistently.
10 liters per day consistently. So pretty well, so just a simple maths, if you're not burning through nearly one of those bottles every day in your office and changing one of them nearly every day, this device could be a fit for you.
Correct.
Is there any differences with, you mentioned air conditioning. How does the environment affect? We're talking about humidity. Do you get higher rates from Northern Australia versus South Australia?
Yeah. So the hotter and the more humid it is, so the higher the relative humidity and the hotter the air is, the better these machines perform. And it needs to be both. Hot air can hold more water. So hot plus humid. So think Townsville, think Darwin, these machines love it. They hate cold. So Victoria, Tasmania don't work so well. And when you go dry, so if we're thinking Alice Springs, that's hot but dry. So there's not as much water available. So it's knowing very much what the actual climate conditions are and how this tech works. And that's when I started playing with this, that was probably one of my biggest gripes with the industry internationally. Everyone will go, so the machines that we've currently got, it does up to 30 liters a day. There's a pretty big
up to,
asterisk. Yeah, there's a pretty big asterisk next to that up to.
Yeah.
And the asterisk is 30 degrees and 80% humidity.
Yeah.
So
which
that
is like Townsville, is that right?
Yeah. So that's not even like, that's worse than Townsville wet season. So I'm talking Cairns wet season. I'm talking Darwin wet season. I'm talking like parts of the Philippines or Thailand. So think that really subtropical summer disgusting. Sure, they can do it then. So I had a machine in Cairns the other day. It was pushing out a liter an hour, a bit over a liter an hour. So sure, if you've got those kind of climate conditions, they perform a lot better. But
sorry, mate, after you.
No, so I was going to say our primary customer, we're replacing office water coolers in an office environment, which is typically air conditioned. So that therefore we've intentionally derated the machines to go, no, no, in your actual environment where you actually are, this is actually what it will do, because you customer don't care how the tech works. Like, sure, we've got a diagram that shows you that pulls in filters, drinking water. That's lovely. But as far as the actual technical engineering is concerned, you don't care. I push the button and the water comes out.
Water come out. Yeah, yeah.
That's all you care about.
Is it like filling itself on a as it's using it? It's got like what's the storage capacity of it when it's not being consumed?
Yeah, 12.5 litre tank in total. So it'll generate that
Right.
a bit over a day. And once the tank's full, it'll cut out. So
Okay,
then
so
as you draw it down, it'll generate more.
it's well, pretty close, 80% or something like that, to being the same size as the other one anyway.
Correct.
It's filling itself overnight when people aren't using it anyway. Yeah, sure, it'll be consumed as people put their bottle or cup underneath it. But every second of every day that it's not actually coming out the tap, it is just refilling itself.
Correct.
Yeah, right. So where are you guys? You guys are selling these things, leasing them. What's your model to get them into companies, into replacing office coolers?
Yeah, so we lease. So like I mentioned, this tech's been around for 8 odd years. And very much the industry's here's the thing, buy the thing will change your life. So as a small biz, well, TTP is not that small anymore, but think when you were doing the locks, so you and Matt are in a garage somewhere and you're doing the locks. If I walk up to you with a water cooler and go, do you want to buy this thing for 3.5 grand? What are you going to tell me to do?
Oh man, I'll get 80. Yeah. I'll probably get 24 pack of plastic things for $6 at Coles, mate.
Exactly. So just that price point. You're like, oh, and I can then try and explain to you how it's going to save you money over whatever, and you're going to go, cool story. That's a 3.5 grand investment. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
If you have an office water cooler and you're doing 10 bottles a month, and I walk up to you and go, oh, Pete, I see that you've got a water cooler there. How many bottles are you doing? Oh, 10 bottles. Okay, cool. Well, I've got a machine here that it's priced at 10 bottles a month, but it can generate up to 30. So provided you're drinking more than 10 bottles a month, you're getting 20 bottles of free value a month. Want to try it free for 14 days? What are you going to say?
It's hard to say no.
Yeah, exactly. So, and this is, and thank you, Alex Hormozy. That's where I've learned a lot of my business stuff from. He calls it a grand slam offer. So make an offer that your prospect feels stupid saying no to. And to do that, you need to know exactly, it's at the end of the day, I don't care what your product is. I don't care what your features are. Your customer doesn't either. Your customer only cares. So your product only derives value from how it makes your prospect feel after it has solved their problem.
Yeah.
So go find out what the problem is, solve that problem, tell your, ideally use testimonials from other customers, the feelings that they've got after that, and use that as testimonials to get your next customers in. But then it's very much a case of, how sore is that knee? Here's the Panadol. So in the case of small businesses, you've got an office water cooler, here, we can save you money. And it's cleaner and it's greener and it's healthier. Yay, team. It can save you money.
Where is the office / commercial space where you're focusing at the moment? Because going back to the military side of it, is there a facility to build something that could be, do 100 guys on the beach? Where are we looking at in terms of more commercial or larger production runs?
So simple answer, yes, and we're working on it. So we're in the process, and this is why the stuff that we're doing out in community as well, particularly the bigger machines. So we've got access to ones that can do Brisbane. You're looking at 250 litres a day. Take them up to Cairns, they're pushing out close to 500. But they need 3-phase power. So a lot of the communities where water is a problem, power is a problem as well. So rocking up in community and going, here, I've got this box that turns power and air into water, doesn't help if they don't have power. So that problem is very similar to what the military has. If we can have a self-contained thing that can turn sunlight and air into water, we're on a winner. So that's what we're working to do.
Yeah, and there's also got to be a law of diminishing returns. There's no point taking out 50 liters of 50 jerry cans of diesel to create 70 jerry cans of petrol or whatever that ratio is. So having that sustainability loop, where do we create the power from to create the water from, is an essential part to solving the problem here. Let's unpack a bit more of the community work with you again. Go back over what you do in terms of, for every 5 you said goes into an office building, what are you doing back to community?
So for every 5 we've got on lease, one of them goes into a community that needs it. So
Yep.
that is actually, so we call it drop for drop. So think Zambrero has plate for plate. Tom's have buy one, give one with shoes. It's the same concept. And we're actually launching drop for drop next week. There's an innovation and small business festival on the Sunshine Coast called Forward Fest, and we're launching drop for drop there. So we'll have 2 machines there that are wrapped, and they've got the logos on them of all of our current customers that have effectively helped us achieve this. And then those 2 machines are going from Forward Fest to Cherbourg the next week. And I'm actually going to be in Cherbourg tomorrow, confirming exactly where they're going. It's looking like either the healthcare clinic or the childcare centre or the library, those kind of community-facing locations. So that way community can get access to safe drinking water.
Yeah, so they are, when you just say that, like healthcare clinic, community center, library, like the amount of need for these is, need thousands of them, 10,000s, like, let alone in those places out of hot and you just want a cup of fresh water.
Yep.
Right. It's such a fascinating, I keep coming back to if it's such a simple problem, why hasn't it been solved already when we've already got that tech? And again, it's about the drivers of demand and what is actually creating the need for this.
What's in it for me?
Yeah. Mate, tell us about, on your journey from the military, obviously you've got an engineer's brain, and your mechanical engineering skills, are pretty applicable, even just from a mindset perspective. But business and entrepreneurship, you're mentioning, the Innovation Fest and things like that. Where are you learning at the moment? Where are you, sucking information out of to build your business acumen?
So the first 20 grand that I had went into a business coaching service. And that was when I had no idea what sales was. I had no idea what marketing was. I didn't know what a CMS was. Like, you just build a website through GoDaddy, right? And then
crack on.
Build it and it will come, and the prospects just fall from the sky, right? So I knew that, particularly once I latched onto the product, and I'm like, okay, AWG, whether it's the AWG that I've currently got or some of the other ones that I was down selecting at that point, okay, I now know what the business model concept is, and I know what the problem is. I'll go get some coaching.
Hang on, just share with us AWG. You just mentioned that's the device, is it?
Correct. Atmospheric water generation. Atmospheric water generator, AWG. So I went and got 20 grand business coaching, and I definitely don't regret doing that decision, because that propelled me 5-10 years easily. But now looking back on it, the amount of knowledge that I've been able to get out of free or very cheap books, particularly when you're getting started, it's all there already available on YouTube. So if I was to wind back 3 years and go and like talk to myself 3 years ago, I probably wouldn't have put that 20 grand into business coaching, because I didn't need it at that point. We weren't the right avatar for that coach, and I sucked everything that I needed to out of it, but probably wasn't the best for me at that point in time. Like I mentioned, Alex Hormozy, he's got a couple of podcasts.
He's clever, isn't he, man?
He's got a couple of books, and his stuff is just because business as a concept is as old as the hills, and it's never going to change. Like, sure, the tactics that, well, even though the tactics don't change, it's the way that you execute those tactics change. So in a military context, whether it's up the guts of lots of smoke or a left flank or all the tactics that get taught at the college, they were the same things that were being taught in World War One, World War Two. Like, that doesn't change. Business doesn't change. So go learn the fundamentals, and you don't need to spend 20 or 30 grand getting taught the fundamentals. Jump on YouTube, jump on Spotify, go read a couple of books. And particularly once you start learning a couple of the things, don't do what I did, which was, I need to consume all the things because there's this
Yeah.
anything on Insta, which is this is how you do we'll build you the Spotify website that's going to make you $1 million. It's all
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
Um,
Fundamentals. Yeah.
Fundamentals, and then JFDI. Just do it,
Just do it and
because you will
learn.
learn so much more
Yeah.
by failing and falling forward than you will out of any book.
Yeah, man. I feel community is just as important as the education part. It's just about
Absolutely.
having people that you can bounce off and talk to. And, a lot of the groups that you get into, yeah, the education. Well, my big thing about business education is number one is because we are such a diverse bunch coming out of the military, where it doesn't matter what rank or service or job, they're all so different. I often sort of see, the education or the self-development pathway being a bit like a patchwork quilt. Sometimes people are very focused on what they want and they're like, hey, I want to get a Bachelor of Business or an MBA or something like that. To be honest, I've started 3 degrees and haven't finished any of them. Doesn't mean the learning wasn't good, but for me, sometimes I just need to know something that is bite-sized that's just going to fix the problem I have in front of me right now. I think coaching, it absolutely has its place, but the right coach at the right time, specific to the outcomes that you need at that time of your journey, is really important to unpack. I think that's community, getting the right program at the right time is really important in terms of, number one, getting bang for your buck, because this is all resources and energy at the start. And again, you mentioned it becomes just a passion for business. Like the number one, there's passion for product. Yeah. Like, we love what we do and why we do it and your vision and mission and all of that. But I honestly have a passion for business now, regardless of what the product is, and just creating something and building it and learning new things. So, mate, I think it's unreal. In terms of Southeast Queensland, tell us about the Innovation Fest and some of these other things you're involved with.
Yeah, so Forward Fest, it's 7th to the
Forward Fest,
9th.
yeah.
Yep. So 7th to the 9th of May, 25, on the Sunshine Coast. And exactly what you're saying. I couldn't agree more that community. So I am where I am today because of the Sunshine Coast community.
Yep.
I walked into Forward Fest in 2023. At that point, I was very product focused. I didn't know what the problem I was solving. I didn't even know what unit economics were, let alone have the financial model. So I walked into Forward Fest with a business card, didn't even have the company set up on LinkedIn yet. And I'm sitting there and it was like, I need to, and I went in with the mindset of, I need to raise capital.
Why did you think you needed capital? Was that a premeditated, scale fast? This is the way to go.
I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah. Did somebody tell you needed capital, or was it like, hey, it's the thing? I heard it on a pod.
I believed what I'd seen on Facebook and Insta. Like you go raise, like the concept of MVP. You come up with a pitch deck. I had a pitch deck. You go raise capital. You then verify your idea based off somebody else's money, and then off you go and you make $1 million. It's not how it actually works.
Easy. Easy.
Go get the best type of capital is customers. Because if you can get someone to open their wallet, then you actually are starting to get product market fit. And Hormozi's actually got an excellent video on this, how to grow a $10 million business, taking out other people's rubbish. Yeah. And this is, so prior me was, I need money because if I've got money, then I can pay myself and I can do all these machines. And I like very much a defense mentality of get the best and verify everything, throw the rest in the bin, and then go hard on the one you selected. That costs money. And that also doesn't necessarily fix the problem. The Defense Innovation Hub's a prime example of that. Work out what the actual problem is, and then so people can pay you in 3 different ways. They can pay you in money, they can pay you in time, and they can pay you in reviews or social capital. So when you start, I don't care who you are, I don't care what rank you got out, I don't care how good you think your solution is. You suck. Just accept that and park your ego. You suck. So then when you're doing stuff for people, do it for free. Hey man, I've got this idea. Would you mind trying this?
I can imagine a few senior sirs or senior ma'ams or were once here. What do you mean I suck? But it's a really interesting point though, man. This humility to be able to understand your value and how to connect with those first couple of customers is so fundamentally important to get to that MVP, to actually get that viability stage. You want to bring your ego to the party, man, you're going to be poor for a long time.
Like go, hey man, I've got this new business idea. I've got this. Eventually it'll be pick whatever your price is. I don't care.
Yeah.
But for right now, just to get traction and make sure that it's actually for the first 5 customers, I'm doing it for free. Asterisks. All I'm asking for you, because there's always an ask, is if you love it, you leave me a review, and if you don't love it, you tell me why I suck. Because that way, the person's paid you in time. They've paid you in there, give you honest feedback. If you're as awesome as you think you are, you get a Google review or you get a Facebook review or wherever you're collecting reviews, you get that.
Yeah.
So that's stuff that's now traction that you can show to other people. And if you suck, you get, and this is why I don't necessarily do it with your best mates and your family, because they're going to pat you on the head and rub your tummy and tell you that your idea is awesome. Go to someone that's like 1 or 2 steps removed. So that way you get actual honest feedback on, yeah, you need to, whatever it is. Because the market's not going to tell you that. Customers will just leave, or they'll give you shit reviews. So learn it early, fail fast, fail early, fix stuff, and don't get people to like at the point where people start offering you money for your stuff, or at the point where you have more demand than you have supply. That's when you can start pushing your prices up, and that's how you can also let the market set what the price is for your product or service.
I think however we go through this journey, I think the biggest point I take out of there is you've got to have the humility to get this frank and fearless feedback, to really listen, to really be listening to the market about what they want, because it's so easy to get caught up in whatever your mum or your partner or your girlfriend says to you, it's a great idea and I'm going to do this. I was like, yeah, go for it. But it's until people really starts costing them something, and even when you're giving something out like that, it's still costing them something to either try it or you're getting that reciprocity back from them. So, man, I think that's really important. What's next for you guys?
So Forward Fest. So skipping back to, Forward Fest 23, we're a business card. Forward Fest 24, so that's 12 months later.
So this is a regular annual event.
Yeah, so this is an annual event. So Forward Fest 23, I walked in with a business card, no connections, didn't know anyone on the coast. So very much the community thing. Asked some of the guys, hey, can I have a coffee? And they said yes. And then bounced a bunch of questions and ideas and picked up a couple of mentors that were like, yep, do that. No, don't do that for these reasons. What are you thinking? So tweaked that. Forward Fest 24, we launched the product. So that's MG10, that's our office water cooler. Sold out twice between Forward Fest 24 and Forward Fest 25, which is next week. And Forward Fest 25 is where we're launching drop for drop. So we've literally gone from off the back of this community. We were conceived at Forward Fest 23. We were born at 24. And at 25, we're now growing up and actually doing the impact stuff that we've always said we were going to do from the start.
I just want to pick up something you said before, and that is local community. Like, one of the literal reasons that we started the veteran business community is to give people who don't have that ability to connect and bounce ideas off. One of the things, I don't know if I say it every time, but I always believe that no matter where we are in business, there's always something to learn. There's always something to share. Well, particularly from where I am at my business career. But let's not overlook the power of local community. And also, as veterans, we've got to get out of, even though this veteran community is for us, you've got to get out of this space and mix with other intelligent people out there. And the other thing I was listening to as you were talking there is sometimes we cling on to ideas and we don't want to share our ideas, in case someone steals them or something like that. Now, obviously, we've got to be prudent and we don't want to just blurt to everybody, what we're doing. But an idea sometimes is only 2 or 3% of the actual value. execution and actually doing it and breathing life into that idea is where things are really going to happen. And I'm just saying that you should go out and, number one, don't say you're going to do it if you're not going to do it, because you just look like a twit. Don't just blurt it out there, and be silly with it. But you can find great communities of people that I believe that you need to help test and adjust your ideas. And becoming part of, whether it be the veteran business community, whether it be a local community, whether you do find a good cohort of people, find some trusted people that you can bounce ideas off.
100%. Like, doesn't matter where you are in the country, you will have a local chamber of commerce. So if you're a veteran, join the veteran chamber, because and that way as well, it then gives you the credibility, because it's a logo that you can now hang on your website. And particularly if you're after bigger corporates or government clients, stuff like that, they care about that kind of stuff. So there's that. There's then, like, in a veteran setting, we can then throw around acronyms that we understand that people that haven't served just don't get. And it's also a mindset thing. But also as well, get out of the veteran bubble and go actually talk to real people and have real coffees with people at your local chambers of commerce. They'll all run coffees once a month, once every couple of months. Just go meet people and just ask questions
and learn, and just learn. And people will be happy to share. And people feel it's nice when you're able to share or help somebody else out, no matter where they are in their journey. I have found very few haters in my business journey. There's been a couple that, whether it be through, I don't know, jealousy or lack of wanting to do it themselves, obviously knock down a tall poppy a little bit, but I've found the overwhelming amount of people, particularly in the veteran business community, wanting to be helping, be supporting. Outside of if you would go that you mentioned before about, would I do it again? Give us some other couple of the biggest lessons that you've learned in setting this thing up.
I think the biggest one, and this one so I got two big ones. And they both took me probably over 12 months to work out. One we've already discussed, which is, I don't care what your product is. I don't care what your features are. Your customer doesn't either, regardless of what your reviews are. Your customers don't care what your product is. They care how it makes them feel. And that's after you've solved an actual problem. So when you find the new shiny thing, like, actually delve into it, and you can jump online, the value equation. So it's there's 4 different parts to it. So that's how you rack and stack, how you derive a value for something. But dig into that and work out what your actual problem is that you're solving for the customer. Work out how you can then increase speed of execution, so it's cheaper, faster, better, and the chances that it's actually going to happen. Those are the four things that'll, whether a prospect will convert or not. So have a look at the problem, have a look at the value equation, work out how that works, then go, okay, cool. Does this product actually solve a problem? Solve problems, don't make products.
Now, just let me hold you there. You're talking about how it makes you feel, and then going back from that, after the problem you solved, how many of us as business owners are so focused on our features, though, or our statistics or our data? Like, we do this because ours is the best selling, or it's the highest rating, or it's the most efficient. That has nothing to do with a problem nor an emotion.
Right.
This is if anything, cluttering the decision-making process, not making it clear. So it's finding that. So first of all, businesses are there to solve problems and to support, human growth, but focusing on the feeling on the other side. And this is where I guess now, it's when I had a bit of a dirty feeling before when I was, when you said, "Oh, do you want an office cooler in there for $3,000?" And then I was like, "Yeah, but I could get a 24 pack of plastic things from Coles." And as soon as I said that, I was like, "Ugh." You're one of those people who, like, and nothing against those people that do that, but instantly I had a feeling, and that feeling was, am I part of the problem or part of the solution?
Correct. And that's what, so the 4 parts. So it's dream outcome, perceived likelihood of achievement, time delay, and effort and sacrifice. But those are the four things that define value. And what you're saying earlier about we're the number one rated, best selling, blah blah blah. That's the effort and sacrifice. No, sorry, that's the perceived likelihood of achievement. So look at all these people that we've sold to previously. So then if there's a new customer, they go, oh, okay, I'm just one of the sheep that's joining the herd, and all these other sheep are happy. So therefore, cool, that's perceived likelihood of achievement. Tick. But then if you look at someone like Qantas, dream outcome is I get from A to B, and then all of a sudden my flights are delayed. So therefore I got sold the dream outcome of the Preston, like they're fixed there. And I'm just using them as an example. But think around COVID, I've paid the premium price for the premium airline because I'm going to get a meal and I'm going to be on time and my bags are going to show up and then whatever else. And then your bag doesn't show up, your flight's late, it gets cancelled, there's ghost flights. So, and this is where, what's the outcome that the prospect's going to get? What's the likelihood that that's actually going to happen? How long is it? So those are the two things that push your prices up. And then how long is it going to take the prospect to get from where they are to where they want to be? And how much effort and sacrifice are they going to have to do? So if you think about something like, let's compare liposuction to the gym. So dream outcome, we get skinny. So that's the same with both. Perceived likelihood of achievement. Well, if I go liposuction, I go in, I go to sleep, I wake up, I'm skinny. If I go to the gym, I lift a ton of weights, and I can still get that skinny. So likelihood that can happen, tick. Time delay, lipo, I went to sleep and I wake up, fixed. Gym, 12 to 18 months plus. Effort and sacrifice, lipo, nothing. Gym, you've got to eat right, you've got to have supplements, you've got to do the workouts, you've got to do da. So you look at that and you go, this is why gym memberships can charge $20 a month and lipo can be thousands of dollars. It achieves exactly the same function, weight loss, ignore the muscle density bit. They both achieve weight loss, but the price of them is two completely different things, but they're solving the same problem.
Time delay, depending how long I have to wait for it.
Yeah. How long do you have to wait? How much do you need to
sacrifice?
And this is where people are paying in time. People are paying in actually having to do shit, so inconvenience. And then what's the chances that it's actually going to happen? And what's the thing that's going to happen? What's the chances it's actually going to happen? How long is it going to take me until that thing happens? And how much suck am I going to have to endure before the thing happens?
Now, this is straight out of the Hormozy playbook. The other one that I really love at the moment is the My First Million pod. If you haven't heard that one, if you're looking at, consuming, some other stuff outside of this pod, just check those lads out. We'll put the links in the show notes and that.
Those are excellent. And Mark Boris does two podcasts as well. So The Mentor and Straight Talk. Straight Talk, if you're looking for Aussies and non-businessy kind of stuff. So he talks to a wide range of people. And the Mentor, it's very much so How I Made This is another one. But if you want to look specifically at Aussies that have made it, the Mentor. And that's actually where I found the technology that I play with today.
Hey, what does Ubique mean again?
So think ubiquitous.
Yeah.
So aqua, water, ubiquitous everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
And where that comes from, both artillery and engineers. We've discussed. I started life in an engineer regiment. Both of them, Ubique is their motto everywhere.
Yeah. Aqua Ubique, water everywhere. Mate, the domain name is aquaubique.com.au. It'll be in the show notes. You can click on that. Mate, how do we find you? I know we can get you on LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn's the best place to hit me, and then it spirals out from there. If you can't work out how to spell Ubique, betterthanbottled.com.au. That diverts to the URL as well.
Beautiful. Mate, really interesting chat, not only about your journey from the military into business, but also for sharing, the best things that you've learned about it. And let's come back to it. Miracles can happen, mate. Water out of thin air. But how we're actually, going to mix just before we wrap up, talk about your qualification, or how did it work getting certified as a social enterprise to support your messaging?
Sure. So Queensland's got the Queensland Social Enterprise Council. Different states and territories have got a similar kind of body. If you want a social enterprise model, go check your state council out and they'll step you through the process. For me, it was a case of went and joined them. They then showed us what you need to do to get accredited. It was effectively, what's your business model? How are you sustainable? How are you focused on people, planet, and profit? So proper triple bottom line reporting. And then depending on what level of certification you want, then depends on what policies and procedures and showing them your books and stuff like that. So we're people and planet first accredited, so I had to show them some of that. The next step up from that is B Corp, and that's a lot more in depth, a lot more policies and other bits and pieces.
Yeah, brilliant. Mate, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to wrap there on the Military Mindset for Business pod for today. One of the biggest things we chatted, to Shannon about was, connection to community. And that's literally what we're here for at the veteran business community. If you're either serving in the military and you're interested in business, if you're reservist and you've got a business on the side, if you've been out of the military for years and you want to start a business or you have started a business, like, we are here for you. We don't care what rank you are. We don't care what service you've done. We don't care if you're deployed. All we care about is like-minded people who are passionate for business. So Veteran BC, Veteran Bravo Charlie.com is who we are. Mate, thanks for joining us today.
I got one last one for you, Pete.
Yeah, Brett, send.
Particularly for, and I'm not sure how Navy and Air Force get trained, but particularly for anyone that Army, when you're looking at a business plan and going, what the hell is a business plan? It's a set of orders. It is a smack. As soon as you've done JLC, you know how to write a SMAC, and you also know what goes before it, which is the individual military appreciation process. That is how you start a business. Yeah. Once you work out what your problem is, look at that as if it is your mission. Like if we're planning back in uniform, work out who your competitors are. That's the red force. Who you are, that's the blue force. What your resources are, and then overlay your resources against your competitors' weaknesses, and that's how you win. Then go write your business plan, code your set of orders from there, and then go execute it. It's not going to survive first contact with the market, same as your set of orders never survive first contact with the enemy. But at least that way you've gone through the motions and you've actually properly analyzed the problem. Took me 6 months to work that out. Anyone that's been in the military understands that process. You already know how to do it. Yeah. It's just a slightly different language.
It's just a different way to think about. Sorry, it's the same way to think about a different problem.
Correct.
Yeah, man, I love it. Mate, thanks for sharing today. I'm sure we'll get you back on here another time. My name's Pete Liston. Out.
Shannon Lemanski. Cheers, guys.